Warning, this video contains several spoilers for Squid Game Season 3. It's been a few days already since it's been released, so I trust that most of you have already watched it. So, good morning internet. This is currently the 1st of July as I'm writing this. JK, never mind, it is now the 5th of July. Never mind again, it is currently the 15th of July. This video was supposed to be completed the day after Squid Game Season 3 dropped because I did watch it immediately the second it dropped. However, the stress from watching the show she was so close. She was right there. No. You could have won the whole thing. Oh my god. I trusted him. I thought I was gonna get a redemption arc. Why? Hyunju, she was right there. She could have went through. She went back for the. What's the point anymore? I have no reason to watch. I just wanted to watch it for more Hyunju scenes. Why'd she die so soon? I wanted her to make it to Thailand. This is so unfair. She was the best competitor there. Oh, why'd you have to kill her? That's so mean. Gave me a nasty cold. And then a bunch of other stuff happened. So this is a little delayed. Sorry. Now if you watched this video, or if you've seen any of my clips on TikTok, you probably know I've made a lot of predictions. Some were extremely wrong, while some were funnily accurate. For example, this one. What if, okay, everyone just dies again. Boom, 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 boom. Everyone is dead again. And Big Booty Gi-hun is the only person left alive again. Except this time, like what he said in that one episode, they'd have to sacrifice a few lives for the greater good. Or something close to that. I don't know. But all of their deaths would allow Gi-hun to do whatever he needs to do. And everyone is sad. In-ho dies too. And Gi-hun is also dead. Until there's no one else left to take charge of Squid Game. But it only stops in Korea. And then the ending is Gi-hun's ex-family, who lives in the US, somehow got screwed over. And now they're part of Squid Game USA. I was laughing my butt off because why are they literally in the USA? I was probably one of the most excited people to watch Squid Game Season 3. I loved Season 1 and I love Season 2 even more. There's only ever been 3 things that I've rewatched more than 4 times, and that's Attack on Titan, The Good Bad Mother, and Squid Game Season 2. Least to say, I was hoping Season 3 would solidify the golden trio of Squid, giving me the perfect show to watch in the background while I draw anime men for the 900th time. Well, newsflash, I'm never watching Squid Game ever again. Again, in some parts of the video, I'm gonna be talking about some of the predictions I made, so it's gonna be very helpful if you watch this video first. Hide and seek. This game was cool. The intensity was there, the stakes were up, it was fun to watch. No, it wasn't. I was depressed the whole time. All except for how unfair it was for the hiders. They were already at a disadvantage for not having a weapon, but now they even had to get 3 keys to open the exit door. And they didn't even show what was in the other side of the door. That felt a little cheap. Meanwhile, all the red team had to do was kill one person. I wouldn't have been able to do it. That's actually a pretty hard and awful thing to do. I would have died right there if I was in the red team. But it's still easier to lose waiting to be shot rather than hiding and getting stabbed multiple times. The shaman lady was one of the only 2 funny scenes in the season. She got a little giggle out of me. And that's why I kind of love her. My favorite rage baiter throughout the entire show. The funny thing is, she said the spirits from the previous games would have led her to the correct path, but they actually led her to every single incorrect path. Because obviously, why would the previous contestants want her to live? They're gonna want her to die just like the rest of them. She got this door wrong, she teamed up with the wrong guy, player 100, and then Minsu poked her really hard because she just had to rage bait. I also want to say, the door's design is a fitting choice for her death. It somewhat resembles the bloody handprints from the doors back in red light, green light, when people are banging on the doors to get out. So in a way, the vengeful spirits cursed her instead, even though she was a fake shaman. Now, time to talk about the scene that destroyed me the most. Please, anyone but her. Take anyone except her, please. Why? She was destined to have 1,000,000 hours of screen time. There was supposed to be a plot twist where we get married. Please, no. We were supposed to live in Thailand together and get that dinner with grandma with the rest of her new friends. Just leave her alone, please. Hyunju, open your eyes. You can't go out like this. We were supposed to live the rest of our lives together. Ride off into the sunset, bake a lot of cakes, maybe go fishing, explore new places, visit theme parks, and she'd win me prizes from the balloon dart game because she has really good aim. Okay, anyways, the biggest issue is we all already knew her potential. She was a military girly, a great one, a sergeant. Her desire to protect people was programmed into her. She will help people time and time again, and that she did. Now, the most unrealistic part in all of this was that she turned her back from the door. Now, why would someone as skilled as her do that? Huh? They did it because they knew if player 120 made it out of there, she would have literally carried everyone past the skipping rope game. She could have thrown everyone past it, flipping chuck that baby like a football. Gi-hun, catch! And then obviously, they probably could have voted for the games to end. But if not, Hyunju would have just Spartan kicked that guy right out of that platform. Now at least I got this part right for my predictions. Hyunju is gonna unalive all the enemies. She's gonna protect the whole gang. That's my super soldier right there. Remember Grandma? Remember Jung-jae? Grandma, player 149? Grandma has a knife hairpin. Hyunju is gonna take that and just start stabbing everyone. Resident Evil style, Red Dead Redemption style. Just absolutely butcher everyone, like the elite sergeant that she is. So maybe it wasn't player 149's little knife, but 120 still put down everyone though. I've always believed in her. I just wish she turned around. Ever since her death, I couldn't take anything seriously anymore, because that was the biggest fumble of the season. It just didn't make any sense story-wise for her not to guard the door. But you know what else? You know how else they could have won this game? If Junhee swapped with Hyunju instead. Hyunju could have quickly taken someone out and protected the rest of them, because reds can't harm other reds and everyone would have been too scared to fight her anyways. So even Myungi would have probably just worked together with him, because even after everything, Junhee considered Myungi a friend. She was happy when he survived and she believed his promise that he'll come find her. But 333 killing 120 was the last straw. All trust was broken ever since that happened. Now hear me out again. Since 007 was on red because he swapped with his mom, and 333 had blue originally, 333 could have swapped with 007 instead. So then the mother and son duo could have been together in the blue team. I know they said they didn't want to be in the blue team together because then both of them would get hunted down, but you know, that's kind of a little stupid. But you know, I get it, but like, come on man, use your brain. It would have been much better if you all just hid together. And then 333 and 120 could have worked together to protect everyone they cared about as an alliance. I hate everything. Why did they even split apart before the game started? Why didn't they strategize? Now obviously this would have been too happy for Squid Game, and some would say that this would ruin the theme of the show, but come on now, these characters just wanted to get home, so their priority should be to figure out the best way to survive before the game started, but they didn't do that. They just winged it and hoped for the best. Okay, so I made this prediction, which was very wrong. Everyone's saying Gi-hun is gonna make it out because she's old, and that makes sense. However, I do think she'll make it out as a jumper game. How? Well, there's two kids also in this game, which had me thinking, what if this was actually a team game? A game of trust? One person gets to jumper for two people. If you pass, so does your partner. If you fall, so does your partner. This is exactly how I think the cast will survive. The son will play for his mom, MG will play for Junhee, Hyunju will play for Taeho. The old man will play in dialogue because no one wants to team up with him, unless Gi-hun does, because Gi-hun is nice. Somehow we got a lot of views on TikTok, which I'm a little annoyed by, because why is the super wrong one the popular one, and then my semi-correct one barely got any views? And some people kept making jokes about, oh well, she did play rope games, she's different rope. No, actually, she died. I get it, okay. 1,000 people made the same joke already. I will say though, I think the way Gi-hun and Yeonsik's story ended was handled very beautifully. I made a second prediction about them, which is this one. Fortunately, I do think Yeonsik, the son player 007, would go out first. I think he's gonna need to unalive someone for a game, and he can't do it because he's too kind, and I'm gonna cry so much. This was sadly one of the predictions I got right, but I still wish it never happened. It was heartbreaking, even though it was a conclusion we were all expecting. It was still a shock to see that 007's mother was the one to end him with the same weapon she kept with her to protect themselves. But you really can't fault her, because Gi-hun as a mother couldn't stand to see her child become a murderer, nor could she let another mother lose her own child. Yeonsik's character was also consistent throughout the show, where he was still unable to hurt anyone due to his kind nature, right up until his last words, which were an apology to his mother. 007 and 149 were some of the kindest people in the games, so I cried an ocean of tears for them. Now let's talk about 333. This was my prediction for him. Sacrifices himself for Junhee. He'll be in hell alongside his dead stocks, which is very wrong. I used to be slightly biased towards this guy, because he's like really hot. I watched him for the first time on Strangers from Hell, which I totally recommend. But the thing is, I also so badly wanted him to play Kim Duk-ja from Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. It would have been so perfect, but you guys just wouldn't get it. Anyways, I flippin' hate him with my entire being. He just kept sticking to Junhee, even though she said time and time again that she doesn't want him, because he's such an awful guy. At some point, I was rooting for his redemption, where he accepts that he's gonna leave her alone, but still protect her somewhat. Guess what? He did not do that. He just ended up doing something worse. That's killing my queen, Hyunju, aka the protector of the woman he promised to protect, aka the person he saved, the person he loved multiple times. And it's not like he wouldn't know it was Hyunju. Hyunju was the tallest person there. He should have recognized her as someone important to Junhee, but this greedy young stabbed Hyunju anyways. Now this just shows how he really did not care about Junhee in a way that you could call love. His love for Junhee, along with everything else, was also selfish. Not once did he ever act selflessly, which is exactly why he felt so flat as a character. Now this is why I felt disappointed. I felt like they were setting up some form of redemption for him, but they just freaking had to roll in it because the writers, I guess, didn't feel like there were enough antagonist in the show. Now, he was supposed to be quote-unquote the smart guy, but of course, he wouldn't have ended up in Squid Game if he was actually smart, because he just tossed out everyone out of the platforms without making sure they 100% had someone to sacrifice in the next one. But I guess that makes sense, because the reason why he got into this mess anyways is he was really bad at investing. Taeho was a character they did the dirtiest this season. Everything we thought we knew about him was thrown out of the window. He had the potential to become one of the most complex characters, but instead, he sadly became the sacrificial lamb to advance the plot. So Gi-hun was on hunter mode. It was really funny, not gonna lie. The music in the background made this man seem like an urban legend, like some kind of haunted owl who just locks in like bruh. And if the previous game winner was staring at me like that, I'd be scared as hell too, man. But the thing is, Gi-hun managed to kill Taeho as a way to deflect his guilt, which makes sense. I was waiting for Gi-hun to crash out at some point. But what I don't understand is why he didn't go for In-ho when that was his goal from the start. He said he needed to get to the people from the top. Who else could be more top than the host of the damn games? And I know him going for In-ho would have actually been much worse for him, because In-ho did mention that his death wouldn't change anything, and Gi-hun would be forced to continue anyways. But I just wanted more intensity, a little pizzazz, just anything other than just walk away. He didn't even mention how they did the exact same bullcrap from the previous game. That scene was just one of the most anticlimactic scenes I have ever watched in my whole life. And why would they just give someone a knife before the very last game? That ain't even a game. Wouldn't the VIPs be bored if it ended that way? In season 1 it was fine, because there were 3 players left, Sang-woo, Sae-byuk, and Gi-hun, and they were all given knives, so it was fair, and that made sense. But only Gi-hun was given a knife this time. Hear me out. In-ho was also a contestant that was given a knife. It was specifically selected to be given a knife from the host, and that gave me a reason to believe that In-ho was a person who was at a disadvantage like Gi-hun. He was also a kind person during the games, because he wasn't part of the majority, so he had no choice but to kill them if he wanted to ensure his win. In short, people who were most disadvantaged were given a knife. And the whole purpose of this knife was to prove that selfishness will always triumph over kindness. Gi-hun, a man similar to In-ho, kind with the determination to protect human life, because remember, In-ho was a police officer before the games. He was a kind person who lost his faith in humanity, and this made him desperately want to see Gi-hun lose the same hope he did, because he wanted validation for the choices he made that day. It was incredibly disappointing to see In-ho silent for most of the season, but his scene towards the end, as he tearfully watched Gi-hun sacrifice, I'm not gonna lie, it was still pretty anticlimactic, but it was still touching to see Gi-hun prove to In-ho that it's still possible to act selflessly even in a selfish world. The only other reason why In-ho's ending disappointed me was because we've danced this dance before. This was exactly the same way season 1 ended. Gi-hun got to prove that humans still help each other. Sang-woo sacrificed herself for Gi-hun, and they bet on the homeless guy being left alone to die. But someone did help the homeless guy. Then Oh-il-nam, the OG-001, saw it, proving that there is still kindness in humanity. And then season 3 just proved the same thing again, where people still help each other out. It was just getting really repetitive. Season 1 had a sad ending, season 2 had a sad ending. And what do you know? Season 3 also had a sad ending. Okay, anyways. In season 1, the Oh-il-nam reveal was extremely satisfying, but In-ho and Gi-hun's reveal gave us nothing, aside from the very repetitive, good is bad and bad is bad narrative. And then the audience just has to watch them watch each other, fight mind game, through the CCTV, EP I guess. Now with Junhee's character, I really wish we could have seen more of her, other than being a pregnant woman. They just kinda made that her whole shtick. We don't know much about her, other than her past relationship with MG Koi. She was one hell of a trooper though. She managed to go about her business right after giving birth. I do think she should have at least named her baby. You know, it doesn't take that much effort to like just choose a name. Just pulled something out of your butthole like Samantha or something. Junhee deserved to be loved, feel loved. I love her. Just wish we could have explored her character more before she lost. But also, I would have just waited for the timer to end to get shot, because jumping hurts way worse. Did you see what happened to her leg? I wouldn't do that. Honestly, very cinematic of her, very dramatic of her. I applaud her, but there is no way that I'm jumping off. I'm just gonna sit there and be like, take me, guard. Shoot me right here. Right there, thank you. Also, whoopsie to Nam-gyu. This is what I said about him. Nam-gyu is gonna straight up just jump off the skipping rope game himself. I guess I got it kinda right. He did die in the jump rope game. He didn't really jump himself. Actually, he forgot to jump, so maybe I was very wrong. But Minsu was the one who took the drugs instead of Daeho, like I made in that one prediction. Anyways, I'm gonna say something just a little controversial here. I did not care for these characters. It felt like her character was there just because they wanted scenes around the guard again, because some of the best parts in season 1 was around Junho investigating the island. Meanwhile, No-yul had a whole different unrelated mission that didn't contribute to the story at all. I don't know if her story was about not giving up, second chances maybe, because she ended up finding her child at the end. She's totally a really cool character. Her scenes were tense, the action was fun, total girl boss, but she just felt so disconnected from the rest of the story that it was hard for me to say I was happy for her conclusion. Same could be said for player 246. He was barely in the show, he was a good, hardworking father, and from what we know, a very kind man. And I'm glad he made it out, but I just wish he had more valuable scenes, because it felt like his character was made just because they needed someone to point Junho towards the island. That was his whole purpose. I guess the moral of the story was to be nice, but not too nice. His top priority was always his daughter, and he managed to come home to her. She's somehow healthy now. How? I don't know. Squid Game magic. How'd this dude even get enough money for treatment in under 6 months too? With a bullet wound. But good for him, I guess. Congrats for living. I guess you could say his friends from the theme park helped, but I guess we'll never know. Now this guy though, Mr. Detective Useless, spent 2 years on a boat without investigating his boatmate, aka the guy who coincidentally saved him after getting shot, and coincidentally just agreed to help him out. As a detective, you would have probably thought he'd be a little more suspicious about the people he's around with, especially when he's been warned already. No one believed Junho about the island, and he suffered tremendously because of that. So maybe you'd think he'd be willing to hear people out more than others, because he knew how frustrating it was for people not to trust him. But he just completely dismissed Mr. Choi throughout the whole show, which just makes no freaking sense. They really want me to believe that this show is realistic when the most skilled person there was acting dumb as heck the whole season. He's a freaking detective. He should be paranoid about everything, especially because his own brother betrayed him. So what reason does he have to trust Mr. Park Fishboat guy? I don't know if this is a message about how the police are useless and they don't change anything or do anything after the crimes already been committed. Because obviously Junho just wanted to know why his brother did the things he did, and then they get rewarded for it anyways. This dude just gets $42 million and a baby. Even gets to name the baby. This is really all there was to his character. There was nothing about him that shouted, "I want a baby!" Could have given that baby to anyone else and would have made more sense. I guess you could debate that. This shows how In-her was nice enough to give the baby to someone who would take care of the baby properly, and then giving Gi-hun's daughter the money was some form of character development, showing his humanity one last time, which doesn't really matter because he's continuing with Squid Game USA anyways. So In-ho is just forever trapped in the games. Can we just talk about this stupid Squid Game USA spin-off? We have enough of that already. Look at this one, and every single actual real survival American show. You know what? Just look at America in general. Nothing's new. Please, just find an original concept. Half the fans of Squid Game will watch a spin-off just to trash on it, me included. They're probably gonna put Tom Holland in there, or this other guy, maybe even Jack Black. The last game, Squid Game, I'd say I was kinda right. Everything will fall down in another game of rock, paper, scissors, or something that involves lottery or some kind of luck. The remaining players did play rock, paper, scissors at some point. They even proposed some type of lottery with the pieces of fabric, although it was a trap. I still kinda as a win for me. There's just no hope for humanity, I guess. The evil will always take advantage of the weak. I guess we just gotta restart and hope for the best. And even then, we don't even know if these babies lived a good rest of their lives. There's just no change. The show called for change. Gi-hun wanted change, but there's no one who acted on that change, because every character who survived still acted selfishly. Junho risked people's lives to talk to his brother. Noyeol killed tons of people to afford to see her daughter. 246 didn't even try to convince Noyeol to save the other contestants. Even Mr. Choi simply helped out because he wanted revenge, and nobody made the effort to expose that damn island. We didn't even get to hear about it on the news. There's no freaking way that they won't investigate a whole ass island that blew the freak up. Think about it, even if it was blown up, there has to be some remnants of what was in that island. There's whole buildings there. It's not just gonna dissolve out of thin air. They can still find some form of evidence that messed up stuff happened in that island. Please, please, please. And then also, In-ho is still working for the games. The only difference is he's more miserable now. And then every person who acted selflessly died in the game. Season 3 became something more political. The players were divided by red and blue. Voting was a large part of the plot. The last episode was about men voting whether to kill the baby or not. And the VIPs were all foreign people of power, watching from the sidelines. It all sounds very familiar, doesn't it? However, as much as I love the symbolism of it all, I think it strayed too far away from what Season 1 wanted to show. Season 1 was more like how the rich take advantage of the struggling working class people, and how unfair it was for money to determine the course course of someone's life. Season 3 was more like just bad people messing with good people. The whole of humanity sucks type of way. While season 1 had that last message of hope and rebellion, in season 3, Gi-hun was no longer fighting the people who put them there. He was fighting with other victims of the games. And that's why season 3 felt weird, because we just wanted him to beat the system. The corrupt system that put them there. But they just ended up forgetting that storyline and wrote in irrelevant asshole players to be the villains instead. The themes between season 1 and season 3 just kept clashing. There's too many ideas. They wanted to represent a lot of things, so they couldn't give proper closure to the characters. Anyways, where I'm getting at is, how it ended is realistic. One winner. That's how it always goes. But I really thought season 2 and 3 would be closure for season 1. But instead they just introduced a whole other problem. And then that ending also just introduced another problem, which is Squid Game USA! On a lighter note, he basically won twice. He went from being a lucky kind loser to an absolute machine. The way he just jumped over that platform was insane. Hands down my favorite scene in the season. What came after there? My second least favorite scene, but at least he died with infinite aura. And good thing the island exploded, I guess, so I got one more thing right. Anyways, thanks for coming to my class. Don't be late to the next one. Oh, and try and go for a walk today. JK, never mind. Or if you watched Summer Exterior. Babidi boobity boobity ba. Babidi boobity 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 boo. Am I only halfway through this?
Action. Where the hell is it? Where the hell is my PowerPoint? Gosh damn it.
America is a problem, and a man I'm a in a valley, and a man I could get much higher than